Hello, and welcome to our show, Who Killed the Chief? You've just witnessed two scenes. Mayor LaToya Cantrell apologized for the actions of Mayor Shakespeare in 1891. It was a great thing for her to do. First of 23 mayors to do this for the Italian community of New Orleans. You've also heard from former DA for 12 years of New Orleans, Leon Cannizzaro, who's also a judge, and what his thoughts were. Why the DA didn't call upon his star witness, which was Officer O'Connor, and the other officer who was assigned to protect the chief and be his bodyguard, J.C. Rowe. So much was mind-boggling the way this was handled. Mayor Shakespeare appoints a committee of 50 to lead the investigation, to tell the DA some of the things to do. Perhaps members of this committee of 50 should have been investigated themselves. We created a fictionalized scene that brings together some of the people we think in that committee of 50 that were people of interest, that had motive to kill the police chief. So as you look at the remaining parts of our episode here, you'll see some of those players, those characters who we put into a poker game to quickly surmise for you how they had motive to kill the chief of police and to benefit from getting rid of the Italian community in New Orleans. Stay with us. This included 5 people who I thought were really people of interest. Obviously other police. O'Connor, as we know, the chief of police, Hennessy, 10 years earlier, with his cousin, who was also a police officer, killed Chief of Detectives Thomas Devereaux. Devereaux was actually in line to become chief of police. He was Hennessy's biggest competitor. He had filed charges against Hennessy and his brother. They got through those charges, but they were fired. Did they want revenge on him, and that's why they killed him? Did Devereaux's friends then want revenge on Hennessy, and that's why they killed Hennessy? One of them, O'Connor, actually becomes the chief of police after Hennessy's dead, a few years later. What about the docks? A lot of stuff was going on at the docks. They wanted the Italians gone. As Leon Cannizzaro said, New Orleans, we were in a depression. You had 2 unions there, the black union and the white union, controlling the wages of the docks at $3 a day. The Italian immigrants come in, they're willing to work for less. The Italian immigrants come in, they're willing to work for less. People want them gone. A gentleman named James Houston, who had killed police officers before on election night. Hold on. A gentleman named James Houston, who had killed numerous times previously and always getting off with self-defense. One time he beat up a newspaper editor who wrote a bad editorial about his brother who was a judge. He also killed at least 3 officers on election night when election wasn't going his way. Those police were making sure that Houston's thugs weren't stopping people from voting. Houston was really much a political boss controlling the elections, which got him a lot of patronage and a lot of money. Built up a phenomenal amount of money, which is unaccountable for, because he was the tax collector. We also have the lottery. The lottery is an unbelievable story of the lottery is an unbelievable story. Set up by some gentlemen from New York. Coming to New Orleans in 1868, shortly after the Civil War. They get a 25-year contract. They don't have to pay taxes. It's based in New Orleans, but it goes nationwide. They're making upwards of $500,000 a month. Some reports are $1 million a month with this business. It's coming up for renewal. They want to control the votes. Also, we have gambling. Gambling is all over New Orleans, plus the brothels. Reports are Chief Hennessy was involved with one of those clubs called the Red Light Social Club. And if you remember that, you got favors, you got contracts, you got everything else you wanted out of the police department of the city of New Orleans. So were the brothels that he was closing down wanting revenge for being shut down by him if you didn't pay this tax to him to stay in business? Would there have been revenge motive there? We also have the political opportunity. Shakespeare's wanting to get reelected. Hennessy is talking about running against him for reelection. Would people have killed Hennessy to avoid losing the mayoralship? That's also another possibility. So we set up several characters, all of them coming together for a poker game, much like the Committee of 50 came together the night before the lynching and decided what to do. They decided to put together all these Winchester rifles, give them to people, pick the shooters, get a mob, go in the jail, and lynch these Italians. The lynching happened at the tree behind me. 9 of them were shot, but 2 of them were hung from that tree and then became target practice. They actually were shot with bullets as they hung from the tree. One guy was hung 3 times because they didn't know what they were doing to hang people. The rope broke one time, another time he climbed up, and they punched him until he dropped from that tree right there. We're at the corner of St. Anne and Treme in Armstrong Park in New Orleans, just outside the French Quarter. So if you come to New Orleans and you're taking a tour and you go to Congo Square, or you're here to go to, hopefully one day the Municipal Auditorium reopens, or Mahalia Jackson, at this corner inside this park, this is where the lynching happened. Perhaps on that tree, or not, if not, one very similar to it. Stay tuned.